Okay, so in this video, we're gonna go ahead and program our platformer. I'm gonna go fairly quick because we're pretty far into this program already. So I'm gonna mimic the game that they've created for us, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with creating the background. We're being asked to create background 2. And to do that, we could simply copy this code and paste this code here. Oops. Paste this code here. I'm not going to change too much. I'm just going to change this to, I don't know, orange. Okay. And I could call it to double check that it works by changing this to background 2. Okay, so it's working. Let me change it back to 1. So we have both backgrounds. The next bubble, the next puzzle, number 5, we're being asked to create the score. We've done this multiple times already, but I'm going to go and do it. Okay, creating the score. The variable is going to be called score, and we're setting it to 0. Okay, here we're going to change the background when the score is we're going to test the code by changing the start score to 100, then running the code to see if the background changes. So when the background, I guess when we have 100 points or 101 points, we're going to go ahead and change the background. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to create an if statement. Okay. We're actually going to do it inside the draw loop. Okay, there's different ways to tackle this, but we're going to go ahead and do it inside the draw loop. So we're going to say this. So we're going to say if the score is less than 100, it's going to be background 1. Okay. And if the score is greater than or equal to 100, okay, we're going to change the background 2. And yes, you can use the else statement if you'd like. I didn't do that here, but you can. Okay, so we're just going to test that it works. Okay, here the score is 0. If the score is 100, okay, it's changing it to this orange. Okay, and if they're kind of mentioning we can add a third one if we want. We're not going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish and move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and make the scoreboard. We've done this already multiple times in the previous games. Okay, so there's already the show score function written, but it only shows the text score, not the actual score. And again, we've done this multiple times, so I'm going to skip to where it is. So I'm going to click up here, show me where. Okay, it skips us down here. And this is a common mistake a lot of us are making. So we have the score, the word score, or let me change. I don't think we've called the function yet. So we'll look at it. Let me actually just call it right now. We're just going to do that here. We'll say show score. Okay, so we have the word score here, but we don't have the actual number score, the numerical score. And to do that, just like we've done in the past, we're going to add another text box. We're going to delete all this and put score. Okay, again, no quotation marks. And I'm going to have it, since this is starting at 1010, I'm going to have this at, I don't know, 7510. Oops, 7510, right? That's the X and Y. I guess we could, not sure why it's so far up there. Oh, let's actually do it at 30. Nicer, no, 20. Okay. 15. Okay. Not going to worry too much about that. Play around with that. So that's essentially what we needed to add, right? We needed to go ahead and add the score so that it shows the actual variable score, the score variable. Okay. And we went ahead and we already did that. So we're okay with the score. I'm going to move to the next one. Okay, we're going to create the platform sprite now. So, this is where we were supposed to plan in our planning document. I'm going to go ahead and create a sprite. We're going to create this platform sprite. Okay. So let's take a look. So when we click on the animation, we already have a platform. We don't need to create anything new. So again, where it says create sprites, we're going to go ahead and create the sprite right down here. Okay. So we know all about this. We're going to create, I don't have the planning document with me, but I'm just going to go ahead and create it at create platform 1. That's going to be the first variable. And we're going to create this at a random number between 0. Yes, let's say 0 and 200. This is going to be a random number between 200 and 400. Okay, you guys can have it where you guys want. Oops, that's X and Y. The Y is going to be at 0. Okay, so that's platform 1. We're going to set the animation. Platform 1, set animation to platform. And we're going to do the same thing with number 2. I'm not going to create that in this video, but you guys are going to do the same thing for platform 2. We're going to want to set the velocity. Okay, so platform 1 velocity, let's just set it to, I don't know, 1.5. We're going to run it to make sure it's running, and it looks like it's okay. We probably want to move it over a little bit, but I'm not going to worry too much about that in this video. Okay, again, we're going to loop it back in the next level. We don't have to do that yet. Okay, so we're going to create a function that loops the platforms. Okay, so we kind of wrote this down in the planning document, loop platforms, and we should have written down that we're going to reset the, that if the platform goes to the bottom, we're going to reset it the Y position to the top. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and create an if statement. Okay, so if the platform has gone off the bottom of the screen, so if, and I like to type it out, but I'll use the inequalities to kind of show you guys. Basically, if it's gone to the bottom of the screen, it's over 400, right? We hopefully remember the grid has a maximum of 400. So if the platform, oops, let me use this. Platform 1's Y position is greater than 400. What are we going to do? We're going to reset the Y position. Okay, we're going to move it back to the top. So we're going to say the Y position of platform 1 is going to be 0. We'll reset it to the very top. Then we're going to call the functions under update sprites in the draw loop. What the function was called, loop platforms. Okay, so now when we run this, when it hits the bottom, it's going to reset to the top. Okay, and again, we're going to want to do the same for the, I probably should have just put a solid number here. Let me just put 100. You're going to want to do the same for platform 2 as well. Okay. So for the second platform, again, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to be copying and pasting everything. I'm not going to do this because I do want you to try it out. Again, if you want to randomize it, you can. You want to randomize it, but not at the starting. I guess you can at the starting, but more importantly, you're going to definitely want to in the loop platform so that each time it goes to the top, it resets again. Okay, here we're going to add the items falling. In their case, it's the stars. Oops. In their case, it's the stars. These move just like the platforms, but faster. So we wanted to go a little faster than the platform. Okay, we are going to start it from a random location above the screen. And for the sample game, the X position is random number between 350 and 50 and 350. The Y position between -30 and -60. Okay, so it's starting a bit up here. That's what it's saying. Okay, so let's go and create the sprite. Okay. If you like to add the little space, you can, but not quite necessary. Not for our purposes. Okay, so I'm going to create a sprite. What are we going to call it? A star? Let's call it the item. Okay, and again, we're going to randomize it. The X position, random number between 50 and 350. And the Y is a random number between -30 and -60. We're gonna we randomized it, and we're gonna go ahead and set the animation and set the Y velocity. Okay, so the animation is going to be a star. Okay, we already looked at the animation earlier, and the velocity Y, we want it a little, was it faster? A little faster than the platformer. The platform was 1.5, so let's just say the star velocity is going to be 2.5. Okay, we're going to run it. Sometimes it kind of goes a little weird, so I'm just going to refresh my page and it'll work. Okay, so if you guys run into problems, I ran into that a lot this year, just refresh the page. Okay, but we saw the star, it looked like it works. We'll loop it in the next one. Okay, we're gonna now loop the item. So create the items loop function, use the if block to check if it's on the bottom. So very similar to before. Create a function, call it loop items. Okay, and what are we gonna check? We're gonna say if the star, item dot y is greater than 400, right? If it's on the bottom of the screen. What are we going to do with it? We're going to reset the Y position and X position. We're going to randomize it. So item.x is a random number between, what was it, 50 and 350. And item.y is around a random number between -30 and -60. Okay. And we're going to make sure we do this. A lot of us are going to forget to do this. Call the function in our loop. Okay, so here we're going to call the function loop, was it items? Loop item? I don't remember anymore. Loop items. Okay, loop items. Okay, run it, test it. So when it hits the bottom, it's going to reset to the top. Okay. Making the second item. Again, I'm not going to do this. You guys can do this. Okay, creating the player now. So we're going to create a new sprite. We're going to call it the player. And you guys should have planned where to start the player. I'm going to start on the top middle. Okay, kind of like where they have them. So I'm going to put it at 200. That's the middle X. And let's just say, I don't know, 10 for towards the top. I'm going to set animation player. And I think there I have the alien one. And create the player following. Okay, so and we're going to create a function. I should have specified that. We're going to create a function called player fall. Okay, the code inside should be a velocity, should use velocity y in a counter so that they're smoothly accelerating downwards. Okay, so here it goes. We're going to go ahead and go functions, my function. We're going to call this player fall. We're going to use the counter pattern, right? Whoops, what are we doing? Oh, the velocity y. So we're going to say, okay, the velocity y of the sprite player, the player's velocity y is going to be, since it's going down on the y, we're going to say it's player.velocity y minus, did they give us a number? If not, I'm going to just use 1. And then we're got to call the function. Player fall. Oops. Thinking backwards. It should be adding. This one. Okay. And down he goes. Okay, so for 15, we're going to add the player controls. We're going to create a new player control in the functions area. Again, we've done this a lot of times. I'm just going to, I don't know, do the left. I'm not going to do all of them. So we're going to create a new function called called control player. Okay, so again, we've done this a lot of times recently, but it doesn't hurt to get the practice. You are going to want to have one for each of the arrows. I'm just going to create for the left key. So if the key down left, okay, what are we going to want to do? Well, we're going to want to move the player to the left. And we're going to be using the counter pattern, so it's not always moving. Oops. So the sprite's x position, player.x, is going to be player.x x.x minus 2. Okay, and then we're going to call it a function. Okay, right up here. Control player. So again, I'm just going to test the left arrow and it's working. You can have it more floaty, I guess, if you want, and you can use just set a velocity. That's really up to you. I don't think left and right you should, but vertically, up and down, I think it would be better if you use the velocity. Okay, but I'm not going to do all that. Again, we've done a lot of that practice already. Okay, player interaction. So this is where the player lands on the platform. Once again, creating a function called player lands. And I hope by now you're noticing how many functions we're creating compared to the draw loop, right? The draw loop just has functions we're calling. Most of the code is in the different functions. Okay, so player lands. Inside the function, use the collide block so the player can land on both platforms. We've only created one, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it for one of them. Okay, the player is going to collide with the platform 1. Okay, and we're going to make sure we call in the function. Player, what is it? Player lands. Okay. Okay, so finally we're going to want to do the collecting items function, right? This is where we're collecting the stars. Once again, we're starting with the functions. We're going to create a function called what? Collect items. We're going to use the if and is touching blocks to change the x and y position of the items. Okay, so if the item is touching, again, we could use the code wherever it is touching. I like to type it, but we could do this if the player is touching the item. Okay, well, what are we going to want to do? We're going to want to change the X and Y position of the items. Okay, we could look at the loop items function for clues and how to reset the item position. Right, so we could go ahead and just simply copy and paste this, right? Copy and paste this to reset the items. Okay, so we could reset the items. We could actually just call a function here too, but we're not going to do that. Finally, inside your statement, we're going to add a counter pattern that's going to increase the score. So we're also going to, again, do the counter pattern. Score is going to be a score plus, I don't know, 1. And then finally, of course, we're going to call the function. What's the function called? Collect items. Okay, and really that's kind of it as far as the proper or the requirements. There are some interesting challenges I highly suggest you check out if you have time. Of course, I didn't go over all the code. There's a lot that we didn't do. But I think for the most part, I went over all the I guess, different components that we're going to need to understand.